Hey there, welcome back. So I want to make a quick video here, kind of off the cuff, and share with you a bit more about the group coaching because it's coming up quick here. And I just unofficially launched it last weekend, and I'm so stoked, so really pleasantly surprised that so many of you seem to have interest in it, be curious about the content, and have signed up on the wait list. So that's a really good sign. So I thought I would just kind of get on camera here, make a video for you guys, and tell you a little bit more about what the content's going to be so that you know whether or not it's going to be a fit for you, something you're going to want to learn or interested in, or it's going to be structured in a way that's going to really kind of meet your needs here. Before we go ahead and get into it, just want to say a quick warm welcome to all the new subs here on the channel as well. Hello. Honored to have you aboard for the conversation. Super grateful for your time and your attention today. And yeah, I'm really stoked to share more about this. So without much further ado, I thought what we'd do is get into some Q&A questions here that have been kind of common questions I've been getting about the course. So maybe if you're wondering any of these things, it'll kind of answer them for you. And then I thought I would kind of go over each month in the curriculum and what it is we're going to be learning and kind of why it's important or why I've placed it in the course here so that you know whether or not it's going to be a good fit for you, whether it's going to be something that's going to be helpful or kind of meeting your expectations. Because I realize that the way I have the sales page set up and kind of what I've shared about it, it might be a little mysterious. So I wanted to kind of elucidate more, make it more clear for you so that if you're going to sign up, you know exactly what you're signing up for. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, first things first, let's go ahead and just tackle all the Q&A questions, get them out of the way. There's only 4 or 5, so let me just go ahead and address these so that if any of these are the questions you're wondering about the course, you'll have your answer and you'll know. Okay, so first question I got, which I thought was really interesting, is what substances is the course designed around? I thought that was a really interesting question. Makes a lot of sense since the topic is psychedelics. The answer there is that what I'm teaching you in the course are principles for working with yourself. These are actually more accurately self-change work or self-therapeutic principles that can be applied either when you're sober or if you want to use them in relationship to psychedelics. I'll be showing you how to plug these principles into a psychedelic context. So the principles themselves, the techniques and the mindsets and the approaches that I'll be showing you aren't specific to any one substance. So this isn't just about, mushrooms or MDMA or what have you. This is about how to work with any of these psychedelic medicines in a way that you can leverage their strengths to help you transform and change. So it's not specific to any one chemical. So that's the answer to that. Second question we have here is, will there be any taking of medicine required as part of the course? Which I thought was also totally understandable and kind of a charming question. I thought this was really interesting because I had never considered leading something like that. Short answer is no, it won't be required at all. We will, again, be talking about principles of self-directed change, self-directed therapeutic healing, self-healing, personal transformation inside of a psychedelic context. If you're going to use psychedelics and apply these principles, that's on you. We won't be including it in the course. There's no need to plan for a trip and build that into your life as we go through this course. That's really something I leave up to each person to decide for themselves. I just want to empower you with the information to know how to work with psychedelics in a way that is safer, that protects you, that's truly healing, that starts to get real transformation in your life. So so no medicine required. Or if you are someone who's really prone to take a lot of medicine, then, maybe you can experiment with these principles along the way. Third question we have is, will I be recording the calls for people who are in other time zones? I thought a lot about this, been kind of back and forth on it. And my answer to this right now is yes. I'm thinking this might be the bigger win, but I'm not sure. I'm concerned about content getting leaked online, obviously. I'm also concerned about people who are subscribing and part of the value to them might be in the subscription, that they might feel like they're getting less value out of it if the calls are recorded. So I'm going to run an experiment with this first round of the course since it's brand new and give it a shot and see, if recording goes smoothly, if anyone has any hard feelings about it or not, or if it's just kind of an added bonus to any students who might be in Europe or Australia or other places where our time zones don't quite match up to make it real easy for you. So I think that's going to be a yes. Last question on the Q&A we have here is, how much is it going to be? Someone pointed out to me, and rightfully so, that I really hadn't made it very clear either on the website or on my email, kind of auto email response, how much the price of the subscription is. So it's going to be $50 a month, which I think is a very fair price for everything you're going to be learning. Again, the curriculum goes for 5 months. Camera is zooming in on me. It's going to go for 5 months at $50 a month. So all in, it's going to be $250 over 5 months if you want to do the full 5 months. Subscription is just auto billing. Of course, you can cancel anytime, and that's going to end your access whenever you decide to end the subscription. Or if you really love the community, really love what we're doing, and want to continue on past the 5-month mark, you're absolutely welcome to. So I think that covers most of the common Q&A stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into what it is we're going to be covering and why we're going to be covering it. So let's get it. So like I said on my website, on the sales page there, and I believe in the email that I sent out to people too, this is designed to be kind of a condensed set of must-know information when it comes to self-healing with psychedelics, according to everything I've learned from all my studies, from all my trial and error, from all the different modalities I've played with, from looking at all the different models of psychedelic therapy. I've really tried to boil down what's easy to do, what's something a person can do on themselves. In other words, they don't necessarily require, a therapist or coach or something else to work with them from the outside. What's easy to understand, and what's really kind of the core principles of this work from my perspective. So I've been kind of mulling over for years now, really trying to consolidate and articulate all the information on the various kind of pathways, it should be a flow chart, but it isn't, that I've made into a model, which you'll see here, to try and describe the different approaches to psychedelic self-healing, therapy, personal transformation, depending on dose, depending on where you end up in terms of your experience, where your attention goes, and then how to follow up properly with proper aftercare. So I've tried to map all of that out, and the entire model is actually pretty complex, and there's a lot to cover in that. So what I thought we would do is we would kind of narrow that down to the more specific, crucial points. And we would just kind of go through, I would start to explain the concepts behind them, start to take you through exercises that demonstrate my point for each of these kind of parts of the model, and teach you how to really do this work for yourself. I want to really emphasize here off the bat that, again, these are techniques you can use for self-healing without psychedelics. These are things you can do in your daily life. These are things you can do if you're feeling a bit upset and you're kind of stirred up, or you took a journey and now you're feeling a bit stirred up afterwards and you want to do some self-healing work. This stuff applies just as much when you're sober as it does when you're with medicine. In fact, in some ways, what you'll find if you take the course is I might even advocate for doing the therapy side of it, if you will, outside of the medicine experience, and using the medicine experience in a more targeted, directed way to leverage the advantages of what the medicine can really bring for you. But long story short, what I'm trying to say here is that this is kind of a short form, must know, bullet points, like crucial key concepts of this kind of larger skill based on different approaches. And ultimately, it's really based in what I've learned from my studies about personal transformation, personal healing, via hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, via different studies of different therapeutic techniques like IFS, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all kind of been boiled down into like just these crucial skills and key bits. So I hope that makes sense. So in month 1, we are going to be starting off, and again, it's every 2 weeks, these calls, right? And so They're going to be about 2 to 3 hours every 2 weeks via Zoom. You'll only be on the call list to get the information if you have, signed up and paid and followed through the link. So it's going to be a special email list just for subscribers. And in month one, we're going to be covering two things in the two different calls. So the first call is largely going to be about understanding the role of conditioning in terms of how that shapes our experience of issues and problems in our lives. So we'll be looking at problems and challenges and what needs healing through the lens of neuroscience, through the lens of understanding conditioning and counter conditioning, through the lens of understanding how, what a problem really is. Like if you were able to see the matrix of the problem, and you're able to really understand it clearly for what it really is and not as an abstraction that makes it hard to work with. What is that clear understanding that really gives us direct access in understanding what the skill set is of self-healing? So that's kind of what's going to be most in call one. We'll probably also do a bit of kind of just, laying the foundation, setting up certain metaphors of understanding, creating the right lens to view this work through, because mindset and the window that we look at something through totally shapes our experience of it. So that'll be call one. Call two is going to be, and this is a crucial, important call. This is one of the reasons I think you should sign up before and not skip a month or think about it for a couple months and then sign up. Because this first month, the second call here, we're going to be addressing the underlying pattern of all change and all psychological, emotional healing. This is based on a crucial core piece of neuroscience that is often overlooked and not understood in a lot of different fields of therapy and psychology and personal development. And yet it's the operating core principle of how all of these work, in my opinion, in the opinion of my teachers. And there's a strong case to be made for it, let's say. And so we will be learning, imagine if you could know exactly what you need to do to heal, what the pattern is underneath that creates the healing effect over and over. What if, you were no longer in the dark or mystified about how to transform what it is that needs healing for you? What if you knew exactly how to get more consistent results when it comes to self-healing and personal growth and personal transformation so that you are moving forward and no longer stuck? I can't stress enough that the information on call two is going to be so crucial. It's worth the total price of the 5 months, the $250, just for that piece of information if you really integrate it and understand it and absorb it and internalize it. So I encourage you to be on the call, and that's going to be call two. Okay. So if month one is kind of the how we actually do personal transformation work, personal healing, personal change work, month two is really about where we're targeting that work. So this is really a month where we're starting to look at what you can call schemas, if you understand anything about psychology or therapy, or if, another way of thinking of it is kind of the state or the package, the neurological, psychophysiological package that our issues arrive in. And it's really about self-awareness and recognizing these issues and how they present in the body and in the mind in yourself. It's about learning how to identify key pieces of cognition that tend to distort and shape the way we think and feel about the problem, that keep us stuck in the problem. It's about targeting what exactly we want to work on so that we know exactly where to place this technique that I was just talking about and really create transformational change. We'll be doing both calls on this question of targeting. We'll also be looking at different levels of how you can work with yourself at different levels. So we'll be looking at things like values. We'll be looking at things like emotions. We'll be looking at things like ideas, concepts, cognition. We'll be looking at somatic responses and somatic patterns in the body. All of that is going to be contained in month two. And I think for a lot of people, this is a very common question I get is, how do I know what to heal? How do I know what to change? Or, the other question you hear a lot is, how do I access whatever the root cause, the core of the issue is. So this is really starting to point our attention in that direction. The other big kind of major benefit of month 2 is that you'll start to get much more self-awareness about when you're in the problem, because one of the issues with having issues, if you will, is that our nervous system switches gears smoothly between different states, or even different parts of our personality, and we don't necessarily track when we've shifted into a different state or a different part. So there are kind of some cues and some subtle ways that we can start to tell when we've shifted into the problem state, or the physiology and the schema, the container that holds the issue and the problem. So that's going to be what goes on in month 2. Okay, so in month 3, we're going to be kind of shifting gears a little bit from targeting specific schemas or the package of the problem like we are in month 2, starting to move more into attention in general and how we are using our attention in session and also outside of session. So we'll be looking at things like hidden, communications from the unconscious mind. We'll be looking at things like experiences we aren't aware of that we are experiencing, kind of the unknown experience that's impacting, how things go. We'll be looking at things like, if you have a bunch of different things that you could work on, how do you kind of tune in on what exactly you want to work on? And we'll also be looking at, in the focus part of the model that I've created here, depending on kind of where you end up in terms of dose, or even just in terms of experience, because sometimes you take a moderate dose and that moderate dose might take you between, at a high level, having mystical experience, or at a very low level, having some sort of a cathartic trauma release thing that you kind of really can't control. Really working with understanding where you are in that spectrum of, I hate this phrase, but the only way I can think of it right now to describe to you is kind of high or low vibration experiences, right? So whether you're in a bliss state, or you're just in a high positive emotional state, or you're kind of filtering through, pieces of your identity and kind of your social conditioning and all the stuff, the aspects of your personality, or whether or not you're kind of like deeper into dealing with, the patterns of the issue and the way they've repeated over your life, and, where that's rooted and how that all got learned and embedded, or whether you're just straight up having like a trauma release experience. Knowing how to work with those at any level, and what to do depending on where your attention goes in session. So that's really what we'll be covering in month 3. There's a lot to say about this, and this is really where we start to get into the complexity of all the different states we can end up in on a journey. So I think that's going to be really valuable for a lot of you, because I think a lot of you probably, from what I read and hear and I'm told a lot, experience whatever state you end up in kind of more passively, like you're just kind of floating and you just end up in these states. And so you'll learn a little bit about how to direct your experience and also how to work with wherever you end up. So that'll probably be really useful to you. And then on month 4, kind of piggybacking on month 3, we kind of pivot from just being aware of where your attention goes and what to do with it in these different moments, to more clear directed use of different types of interventions. So you'll be learning different skills of how to shift yourself, how to create change, how to do interventions with yourself. Depending on kind of where you end up, again, in that scale of, are you super high and, having an out of body experience and not able to do anything, versus are you highly sober, or anywhere in between in that spectrum, do you end up in some sort of a really difficult experience, what to do, what are the different interventions you can apply to yourself in these different kind of levels of consciousness and experience and states. We'll also be looking at interventions outside of session. How can you work with yourself afterwards to help yourself come back into center, come back into balance, self-regulate, and really maintain yourself. Let's say you get some emotions stirred up. What do you do about that? This kind of a thing. So it's really about what are the tools and the interventions and the appropriate thing to do when. So that's going to be month number 4. Okay, and then last but certainly not least at all, 5 is going to be about psychedelic aftercare and specifically teaching you about psychedelic integration. Now, by the time we've gone through, these different models of intervention, these different models of use of attention, understanding, the conscious unconscious relationship, understanding this deeper pattern of all, personal transformation and change, I think integration will become much more clear to you. But just in case it isn't, we're going to make it really explicit how to integrate your experiences afterwards. And more broadly, we'll be talking about aftercare in general, not just integration, but things like how to ground and how to kind of create an expanded cosmology, sense of the universe, sense of self, sense of reality. If you had kind of a reality challenging experience that's kind of left you like, shocked and unsure what to think. So that's really what we're going to focus on in 5. It's going to be about aftercare and specifically the skills of aftercare, because there's a lot of aftercare you probably already know, like take hikes and do yoga and eat well and sleep well and, take a bath and journal and all that wonderful, beautiful self-healing stuff. I don't think there's a whole lot that needs to be said about that besides just saying that those are good things to do, right? But there are specific skills for aftercare that really, really make a difference. And so we'll be addressing those in month 5. And that, it really wraps up the cycle there. So, if you join for whatever reason, you're seeing this video and it's, already underway and you join mid, session, I want you to know that if you join in month 3, you'll get 3, 4, 5, and then it'll loop back around and you'll get 1, 2 if you stay in it. So I've really designed this so that we're getting a complete, functional picture here of how to do this work for yourself. This really isn't about guiding others. This really isn't about, trip sitting. This really isn't about, just kind of big philosophies of psychedelics, or this is a very practical, applied to self, personal transformation, personal development in the context of psychedelics education, that again also applies in every possible way outside of the realm of psychedelics, just in your daily life as well. You're going to learn tools here for self-management, for self-healing, for self-maintenance, for personal transformation that you'll know for the rest of your life, that will benefit you. And again, you'll know exactly how to do what needs to be done. So, so that's month 5. And I think that pretty much wraps up everything I have to say about it. If you do have any questions, if I didn't, cover anything that, maybe you're wondering about or want to know more about, do me a favor, either leave a comment down below in the comments section. You're absolutely invited there. Or, you can send me an email. I'll leave my email in the information below this video. So thanks for watching. Thank you for your interest. I guess I should just kind of summarize really quick that this is not a coaching course in the sense that I'll be directly coaching you through your issues much, so it's not that, it's also not purely just education, in the same way that you could just watch a video course, because there is dynamic feedback and Q&A involved in this. I expect that the calls will be formatted so that there's about an hour of slideshow presentation on my part, kind of giving you the concepts and ideas, talking you through things, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. And then we'll take either, another hour, that second hour, to, maybe that second hour and a half, something like that, to do Q&A, go over stuff. We'll run through exercises, that kind of stuff. So if that sounds like something that you're into, if you are kind of a nerd for this stuff, you want to learn how to self-heal with psychedelics, you're a psychonaut already, and you want to learn more about how to get more skillful with it, and really kind of take that to the next level, or you're a nerd for, psychology, therapy, personal development, and you want to know really how personal transformation happens. What are the mechanics? How does this work? And how does that connect to psychedelics? Because, in my case, I know I was passionate about personal development for a long time, had a huge, history as a psychonaut, didn't really understand how they fit together and what the implications there were. So if any of these apply to you, I would strongly encourage you to, get on the wait list. I'm going to send out, the buy links probably sometime early October, in the first few days of October. And you're going to want to be along for the ride, because this is, again, really unique content. I don't know anyone else either teaching how to do this for yourself, coming from this particular perspective. I really think a lot of this content is unique in the psychedelic space. Coming from a hypnosis, kind of hypnotherapy modality background, which offers a really different perspective on working with the mind and working with psychedelics and working with the unconscious mind, obviously. I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a bit of a workshop. I'm going to learn as we go here. I'm going to tinker with it, but I'd really love to have you aboard if you resonate with this message and this sounds like your cup of tea. And I think you'll know that for yourself. So enough yammering. Much love to you all. Thank you for your time and your attention. And again, if you're interested, I'll leave the link below. Please go enter your information and email so that I can send you the link when it becomes available. All right. Much love. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon.